do. Go get you some jobs. All right, this your boy Mullah. This week got that fire. We back with another one. Now we're trying to see why did they steal the Wayans Brothers hit show, scary movie, man. That was a banger. That was when comedy was comedy, y'all. Here we go.
All know the Wayans family are the kings of parody films. It all started in 1988
Kings.
with I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Keenan Ivory Wayans' directorial debut. The trend continued with the Emmy-winning sketch comedy show In Living Color. Nothing was off limits with the cast that included Jim Carrey, Tommy Davidson, Jamie Foxx, and more. Pop culture and political figures and moments were heavily parodied. They continued the parody trend in 1996 with Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood.
Mm-hmm.
The film parodied several hood films that were popular at the time.
Classic.
These movies included Juice, South Central, Poetic Justice, Friday, Boys in the Hood, and Menace to Society. In between production of The Wayans Bros, and after Don't Be a Menace was released, Sean and Marlon started working on their own project, another parody. This time, the genre they would focus on would be horror. Keenan considers this project a redemption for himself after the cancellation of In Living Color. The movie's ensemble cast, paired with Wayans Brothers' comedic genius, would give the movie an edge and lay the groundwork for the much-anticipated sequel. But where the brothers started with Scary Movie would be far from where they would finish. For the Wayans, they would say the most frightening part of the Scary Movie franchise is being shut out of production after just 2 movies. People kept blaming us. We did Scary Movie 1 and 2, the funny ones. Everybody thinks we left the franchise or we sold it. No, it was taken from us. Despite the Wayans striking gold with their original idea and scripts, the brothers alleged Bob and Harvey Weinstein fired them and took the idea for their own. I could write a book on that whole thing, honestly. They definitely still owe us money.
Wow.
Lots of money. What they did was really bad business. According to Marlon, the studio basically stole their idea for the series. Here's why the Wayans brothers were fired from Scary Movie. I'm Elena Williams with Comedy Hype News. History has proven that very few comics have been able to create and stylize parodies in the fashion that the Wayans have. On the small screen, the quick-witted sketch show In Living Color was the cornerstone of comedy for the Wayans brothers. Created and hosted by Keenan for 4 years on Fox. At the time, the brothers would poise themselves for their ideas to feature-length films. Before Scary Movie, the brothers had written, directed, and starred in 2 other spoofs. The 1988 blaxploitation parody, I'ma Get You Sucker, was the first time Keenan Ivory directed. 8 years later, in 1996, Sean and Marlon would join their brother to create the next hit spoof, Don't Be a Menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. The movie twisted comedy with elements of several black 90s coming-of-age films and made $20.1 million in the box office. The success of the film was 5 times more than the $3.8 million it took to make the movie. Later the same year, Scream was released by Dimension, a label for horror films within Miramax Films, then owned by the Weinsteins. According to a 2000 Jet magazine article, Marlon said that he and Sean Wayans decided to write the movie while watching one of the horror movies they would eventually parody. I think we were watching I Know What You Did Last Summer, and we said, I know what I'm going to do next summer. I'm going to make fun of all these damn movies I'm so tired of seeing. I watched Scream till I wanted to scream. I've seen I Know What You Did Last Summer so much that I wanted to become a murderer and kill anybody who ever made one of these movies. We just found these slasher movies to be kind of ridiculous.
See, people don't understand. You be watching this stuff, man. You get mad for real. Like, what y'all doing? Who pays you to do this? Was it for the money or for the culture? Obviously, it went for the culture.
And I thought it would be funny to do a parody, but it was one of the hardest movies to write. It looks like a silly slapstick film, but it was not an easy movie to execute. In the interview, they revealed that the script went through many drafts. When we first wrote it, we wrote it with a black male lead. But Keenan told us, and he was right, it wasn't true to the genre. So we changed it up and made our heroine a white girl lead, a little ditzy white girl. Marlon is credited with writing the first screenplay called Last Summer I Screamed Because Friday the 13th Fell on Halloween. We developed so many different versions of this movie. We worked with our brother Keenan, and we wrote a black draft, a white draft, a high school draft, and a college draft. After 10 drafts and several film studios passing on the script, the movie got the green light. The Weinstein brothers showed interest in the script, ironically because it spoofed Scream, the very horror movie Dimension released. The working title for the screenplay when it was acquired by the Weinsteins was Scream If You Know What I Did Last Halloween. The name it wasn't until we really saw I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream that it just kind of clicked for us. Scary Movie was the title the studio settled on, opening in theaters on July 7, 2000. The story, rated R for strong adult themes, follows a group of high school students that kill someone on accident, and as a result, they are haunted by a mass killer. Marlon would star in the movie alongside his brother, Sean, and Regina Hall was cast as a friend to the group, Marlon's brother and Sean's girlfriend. The film was a hit right out of the gate. With only $19 million for a budget, the movie surpassed the $110 million point after just 14 days. The movie grossed $278 million worldwide, with $157 million coming from the US. Scary Movie made history, breaking the record for a film by an African-American director. It was the right movie at the right time, done by the right people. That's really what I feel like it was. And you never know, another one can happen. There's always room. On the heels of the huge success of the first feature, Scary Movie 2 was released the following year, making $141 million on a $45 million budget. Other studios were going, what just happened? It was like winning the Super Bowl. Just the most unbelievable thing. Despite the commercial success of the sequel, the film received mostly negative reviews from critics. Marlon Wayans blames the studio for rushing to get the movie out after the box office success of the first. But when Scary Movie 3 was released in 2003, fans were quick to make out the difference in tone with the new sequel than the last two. The difference was the Wayans brothers weren't involved.
Nope.
A 2003 newspaper article that comes from Reading Eagle Voices correspondent Ian Mogul confirmed this once the preview of the third film was released. The first thing I noticed when watching the previews was that the Wayans brothers were absent. I was very disappointed.
Me too.
Sean and Marlon provided the funny.
I was so pissed. I almost went Super Saiyan.
Characters from the first two films, so Scary Movie 3 already had an uphill climb. Despite what appeared to be the beginning of a lucrative endeavor for both the Wayans brothers and the Dimensions films, Marlon described it as the worst deal.
They were evil as fuck. We didn't walk away from a franchise. They didn't want to make our deal, and they snatched it. And they was like, they just did some, Weinstein's did really terrible, like, rape and pillage villages type of business. If they did, if the art of war was real, then they would be the dynasty that raped and pillaged villages. That's just the way they did their business. So it wasn't that we never walked away from our franchise that we created. It was taken, and us being the creatives that we are was like, I bet. You now watch what I create.
Yeah, watch what I go.
You can take that. We probably should sue for hundreds of millions of dollars because they probably owe us a shitload of money. And maybe one day we will. But that we didn't walk away from our franchise. Them niggas took it. They were fucking fucked up.
The Wayans' pioneering work on the Scary Movie franchise came to an abrupt end with no direct notice. According to an article in The Independent, it's been reported that the Wayans brothers wanted more money and the Weinsteins weren't willing to pay. This left the third, fourth, and fifth movies under the creative direction of Dimension and Bob Weinstein as the executive producer. Marlon reportedly called the rest of the series tired, claiming Dimension stole the pitch for the third film, later inviting them to create the fifth installment. By that time, Wayans had moved on, citing they had their time and did what they could with the franchise. It seemed as though the Weinstein studio was erasing the Wayans from Scary Movie as they moved on, despite the integral role they played in building the franchise. But as fate would have it, the Weinstein Company wouldn't last always. The Weinsteins, in a bizarre chain of events, filed bankruptcy after Harvey Weinstein's sexual assault scandal. The company was acquired by Paramount, and Dimension still owns the rights to the Scary Movie franchise. This hasn't slowed down the Wayans brothers. They went on to write, direct, produce, and star in other hit movies like White Chicks, The Lady Killers, and A Haunted House. All you can do is allow.
See, when you do that wrong stuff, they called you a sexual harassment case or whatever. See, that's what happened, man. That's what you get, man.
I was to create something new. The brothers are still creating movies and inking ideas, most recently with Netflix. It's safe to say they've bounced back from the horror that is Hollywood with their resilience, work ethic, and of course, their humor.
Well, there y'all have it, man. The Wayans brothers didn't quit on us, y'all. They got robbed. Blackballed, and underpaid. What would you do if a job was doing you like that? Would you stay and work? Or would you go try to find a better job? Or you just continue on with your own success? Well, from what I saw, it's still successful to me in my eyes. So with that one being said, It's your boy Mullah. This week got that fire. I'll be back with another one. Shout out to the Wayans, brother. Y'all keep doing y'all thing. And I'm out of here.